guys, this is James with RogueDuelist Trade, and on this channel we talk about current and upcoming Yu-Gi-Oh product and whether or not you should invest your money in order to profit. So guys, the day is finally here. We are launching the RogueDuelist Trade Patreon. If you guys have been following this channel for a while, I have mentioned in the past that I have been working through a Patreon, and we're finally here. And guys, it's gonna be awesome. But what I'm going to do in today's video is give you guys an example of exclusive content that you will expect to see on the Patreon. So starting at my level 2 Patreon tier and beyond, you will get access to exclusive video content on ratios and analysis for those ratios for every single product on product release. So the example we're gonna go through today is Rise of the Duelist. So Rise of the Duelist has already been out a little over a week, but you guys could expect videos like this on product or premiere release. And this type of content will make you guys far more informed of what to do with your investments before you actually crack open the boxes. So we're gonna go through the ratios for all the foil cards in Rise of the Duelist. We're gonna go a little deeper into the top 6 money cards in this product. We're also going to discuss, based on the ratios, what you guys could put up on inventory as pre-orders before actually opening your product. And then we're gonna go deep into estimated profit margins if you were to buy 2 cases, 5 cases, or 10 cases, assuming the cost for product that you would get through the Patreon. That's right, guys. I've mentioned on other videos, depending on what tier you select, you could have the option of purchasing product through the Patreon through a very credible resource, which is Pro Play Games, and get product at near wholesale rates. And then at the end of the video, I'm gonna go through all of the benefits that you guys will get from this Patreon, and I hope you guys see the value, and if you do, I can't wait for you guys to join the very first Patreon for Yu-Gi-Oh investments. So guys, like always, if you want to support this channel to help the YouTube algorithm, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell if you like investment content on Yu-Gi-Oh. Also, if you'd like to follow me on Facebook and Instagram, there's links down in the description below. All right, guys, so without further ado, let's jump into exclusive ratio content and analysis on Rise of the Duelist. So let's go ahead and jump into the ratios. We're gonna first start with our Starlight Rares, and we're gonna cover this fairly quickly. So our sample size was 9 cases, and we got this data from Pro Play Games. And out of their 9 cases, they pulled a total of 3 Starlight Rares. Specifically, they pulled Ecclesia, Win the Wind Channeler, and Gaia the Magical Knight of Dragons. In the sample size, it's hard to make very large assumptions as to whether or not certain cards are short printed or not. I would assume that Starlight Rares aren't necessarily short printed. I think it really depends, are you even gonna get a Starlight Rare? And it seems 1 in 3 cases have the chance of getting a Starlight Rare, which seems to be consistent with what I've heard in previous core product. It's usually 1 in 3 cases, which is why, as you guys will see as we go through estimated profit margins that you should expect from opening up product, getting a Starlight Rare significantly increases your profit margins, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. So now let's discuss secret rares. So interestingly enough, it is a fairly even distribution across secret rares. You're pretty much going to see anywhere between 2 to 3 of every single secret rares on average per case. Looking at Forbidden Droplets as an example, its ratio is 2.67 per case, which is actually one of the higher ratios out of all the secrets, very marginally. I bet you if the sample size went up to 20 or even 50, these numbers would start to get closer and closer to each other. It does seem that Konami is no longer underprinting particular higher rarity cards or higher value cards in their core product, but that will likely be different for products like Battles of Legend or Legendary Duelist or even Megatons. And again, we are gonna dive deeper into the top 6 money cards, but I just wanted to show you guys that there is a pretty fair distribution across each case on average for secret rares. But looking at the ultra rares, there are a few outliers. So for the most part, you're gonna be seeing anywhere between 27 to 30 of every single ultra rare in Rise of the Duelist. But if you look at cards like Shaddoll Schism, your ratio is roughly 2.67, which is almost identical to ratios that you see for the secret rares. So it seems your chances of pulling Shaddoll Schism is as much as pulling any particular secret rare out of Rise of the Duelist. And its price point on release was about $5.60. And if you guys actually look at TCG Player, right now the price point of Shaddoll Schism is sitting at $7.34. Because its ratio ratio is closer to a secret rare. Shaddoll Schism actually has high meta potential right now within Dogmaticas and other strategies, which is able to have kind of like a small Shaddoll engine. I would definitely recommend to hold off on selling this card. If you guys were able to pull it, I feel this is a card that will start taking value from a lot of the secret rares in this product and may approach the $10 plus range. So I think this is a card to consider holding on to. And then looking at cards like Gizmek Okami and Rika Queen Strenna, their ratios were actually fairly significantly higher, where you're gonna be seeing anywhere between 4 to 5 of each of those particular cards per case. Because cards are being overprinted, the other cards aren't necessarily being underprinted, but you're going to be seeing less of them if you're seeing more of Gizmek Okami and Rika Queen Strenna. So I definitely recommend to offload those cards as much as possible. I think once we start seeing that there's a flood of these cards in the marketplace, although it's not significantly higher, I think it's high enough to where their value will definitely continue to drop. So looking at super rares from Rise of the Duelist, again, it's a fairly even distribution where you're going to be seeing anywhere between 6 to 8 of every single super rare per case. Except if you look at Gaia, the Magical Knight of Dragons, you could see anywhere between 10 to 11 of him per case. And with the Fusion Dark Lord monster, the first Dark Lord, it's roughly the same, where you should be seeing anywhere probably between 10 or 12 of that particular card per case. Now that is fairly significantly higher than all of the other super rares. It is a bit odd, especially because Gaia, the Magical Knight of Dragons, is the cover card for this product. Again, I would definitely offload on those two cards as much as possible, even though nothing else is necessarily short printed. Those are overprinted. All right, guys, so let's dive in a little bit deeper into the top 6 money cards of this product. And just to be clear, this is taking Starlight rares out. These are the cards that you're more likely to see that are money cards within the secret and ultra rare slots. So first, we're gonna look at Forbidden Droplet as our top value card in this product. Its ratio, again, is roughly 2.67, so anywhere between 2 to 3, sometimes you might see 4 per case. Its value is $90 on release, and its price point has recently dropped to $82, but it was lower than that yesterday, and it's actually starting to make a resurgence back up towards the $90 mark. Its demand is high because it is a generic tech card that can be used in any deck strategy. So my initial opinion would have been to sell this card on release, because I feel $90 is very strong, especially looking at a lot of the other money cards, which are very high in value as well. But I think right now, looking at the resurgence it's starting to make, I would also consider to hold it. I wouldn't blame you for selling it now, but I feel it will start approaching that $90 ceiling again, and it may go beyond it. Now, I don't know how much, because there are a lot of other money cards, and if money starts going up in one card, it'll start going down in others. And I feel like other cards in this product, I don't know how much more they could potentially drop. So let's go ahead into the second top value card in this product, which is Nadir Servant. So ratios are similar. You're gonna be seeing anywhere between 2 to 3 per case. It's 2.11 is the ratio. It's got a $70 value on its release, and it's dropped to about $67. This is also making a little bit of a resurgence back up towards its initial release price. Its demand is probably going to be in that medium to high range, and the reason why is because it's a specific archetype. Now, yes, there are a lot of people that play meta, but it doesn't mean if you play meta, you're going to be playing Dogmatica. But because Dogmatica is kind of one of the more exciting new meta decks coming into the format, I would say it's definitely a higher medium when it comes to demand. My opinion would be to sell. I think $67 right now, or $70 on its release, are very strong price points. I really don't know how much higher this card can go from here. There's a lot of other cards that are Dogmatica cards that have higher value as well. With Forbidden Droplets and with the next card that we're going to be going over that are more generic and may have higher demand, I just don't know how long this price point will stick. I just don't know how much higher it can really go. Next is Triple Tactics Talent. It has a very similar ratio across the board with secret rares. It's 2.11 per case. Its value was $65 on release, and currently it's $66. So this price has gone up very marginally, and I would consider its demand high because, again, it's a generic tech card that can be played in any strategy. My opinion on this card, I feel more value is going to be dispersed and taken from Nadir Servant and put onto Triple Tactics Talent. I feel Triple Tactics Talent and Forbidden Droplet will continue being the lead cards in this product when it comes to value. That's my perspective. This is just my opinion, but I would definitely consider holding on to it. Now, how much higher can it go? I don't know if it's that high. Honestly, $65, $66 if you were to sell it for that price point Maybe you would have made a few extra bucks if you waited. It could hit maybe the $70 to $80 mark, but it's really hard to say for sure, especially with the ratios being across the board the same. Next is Dogmatica Floralist. So this is typically a one of in the Dogmatica strategy. I think you can play multiples. Ratio again is roughly the same, between 2 to 3 per case. Its value on release was $29 and it's dropped since then to $24. I feel this card will continue to drop. I think that there's going to be more value going into the other secret rares like Forbidden Droplet, like Triple Tactics Talent, and maybe even Nadir Servant as well. I don't think this card is going to drop significantly, but my opinion would be to sell. Next is Dogmatica Maximus, and I would also call this as medium when it comes to the demand for this card. Not all Dogmatica strategies play Maximus, which is why I would definitely say it's medium, and its ratio is roughly 2 to 3 per case. Its value is $19. It's now $18. I could see this probably hitting $10 to $15 maybe, and with a lot of other cards going up in value like I've mentioned. My opinion for this card, I would go ahead and sell it. Next is Dogmatica Ecclesia the Virtuous. Ratio is roughly 3.22 per case, and this is an ultra rare, so its ratio is slightly higher. Its value is $26. It's now $22. Its demand is medium to high because this is pretty much a 3 of in most Dogmatica builds. I would go ahead and sell it because it's an ultra rare and because it's rivaling a lot of secret rares in this product. I know it's a higher demand card. I feel $26 is definitely a very strong price point for an ultra rare. Now that it's dropped to 22, I don't know how likely it's going to go up unless Dogmatica just becomes tier 0 and is obliterating Eldritch and any other meta strategy. I feel that Dogmatica is a very good meta contender, but I don't know if it's necessarily going to be tier 0. So based on these ratios, if you guys need to put up inventory before you actually open up product for pre-order, I think safe numbers would be, assuming you're buying 2 or more cases, I would say 1 of every secret rare per case, 2 of every ultra rare per case, 5 of every super rare per case, and 5 of every common per case. I think this is definitely a safe approach because I actually reduced based on its actual ratios. I looked at the raw data to see how likely it was that you weren't going to pull a particular card. And for secret rares, sometimes you might get 0 of it, sometimes you might get 4 of it, 2 or 3. So that's why I'm saying if you're buying 2 or more cases, I would probably go with these numbers right here. That way you can get ahead of getting your product up, taking advantage of the weekend of release of product because you're always able to get more value, usually the weekend of release. Now next, which is probably the most important thing, is your estimated profit margins. So the assumptions that I'm making on these numbers I'm about to show you guys is the cost per case is based on the RDT Patreon pricing that you would be able to get through the Patreon. Right now it's $6.55 per case at level 3. We are gonna have a future level 5 and 6 tier that will be able to buy 5 or even 10 cases, and that pricing will be at $6.49 per case. If you were to sell sealed boxes, I'm assuming 11% of fees on every single box plus $6 shipping on every single box. I think I'm overestimating the fees just a little bit, but I'd rather be safe. Fees for singles, I'm just doing a flat fee of 15% on your revenue on average. And then the revenue that I'm estimating is the estimated value on average from the ratios that we got from PPG. First, we're gonna look at estimated profits if you were to buy 2 cases, and this is assuming you do not pull a Starlight Rare. I wanna show you guys the significance and what margins look like if you do pull a Starlight Rare or if you don't. So again, this is assuming you do not. So your cost, again, is the cost that you would get at the level 3 tier, which is open on my Patreon right now, where you can get cases at $655 per case. Now, if you look on the left side, this is assuming you sell every single card, including your bulk, which is not as likely. But if you look at the middle section, this is assuming you only sell your high value cards, which is anything over $1. Now, you are likely gonna be selling some of your bulk cards, especially on the weekend of release. So this is definitely underestimating, while I would say if you sell all of your product on the left side, you're overestimating. And then if you look at the right, this is assuming you only sell sealed boxes. So what I want to do is show you guys the margins you would expect from selling sealed boxes versus selling all of your high value cards versus if you were able to somehow sell every single card that you pull. Now, you will likely see profits that's probably somewhere in the middle from selling every single card versus only selling your high value cards. So if you were to sell every single card, your profit per case would be roughly $182, which means your margins is roughly 18.53%. Now, if you look at that for 2 cases, you would be making roughly $365.27, again, if you sold all the product. Now, if you only sold the high value cards, your profit margin goes down by roughly 6%. So your profit's about $113 a case, 12.56% is your profit margins, and then for both cases, you would make roughly $227, and again, that's if you don't pull a Starlight Rare. Now, if you were gonna sell boxes only, your profit margins would be roughly $14.18 per box, which is a 16.88% margin. Now, if you don't pull a Starlight Rare, you might say, well, it's a lot easier to just go ahead and sell sealed boxes versus wasting time of opening all the product and selling singles. Because your overall profit for selling every single box within 2 cases, which would essentially be selling 24 boxes, would be $340.24. So if Starlight Rares weren't a possibility, I would definitely recommend just sell your sealed boxes. But if you do pull a Starlight Rare, it may be worth the risk of opening your product. Because if you look here on the left, if you were to sell all of your product, your margins shoot up to 37.32%. While if you look before, it was 18.53, which is more than double. And then also, if you only sell your high value cards, your margins are roughly 31.38%, while before it was 12.56. So again, more than double your profit margins if you are able to get a Starlight Rare. While obviously, if you were going to sell boxes, your margins stay the same. It's still about 16.88%. So if you were able to sell all of the cards from both cases, you would make roughly $1,025. While if you only sold your high value cards, it would be $766. So if you only sell your high value cards, that's more than double the profit that you would make from selling 2 cases of sealed product at $340. Even though you may not pull a Starlight Rare if you buy 2 cases, I think it's worth the risk to open it, because worst case scenario, you're gonna make about the same if you were to sell boxes. Now, it would be harder. It is a little more time consuming to open up all those cases and sell singles, but at the end of the day, it might be worth it. So now it's going to significantly change once you start hitting 5 cases, because once you start hitting 5 cases, you are highly likely to be seeing at least 1 Starlight Rare. So your margins are going to go up and it's going to be more static. Your cost goes down now to $649 per case, because that's what we're able to offer through the Patreon. If you hit a level 5 or 6 tier, which doesn't exist yet, your price point will be $649 per case. So your margins are now 28.21% if you sold every single card you pulled. If you only sold your higher value cards, that would be 23.82%. Now, your margins do go up slightly because your cost per box goes down if you are at a different Patreon tier, which now your margins for selling sealed boxes is 17.47%. But now you guys can see, when you start buying multiple boxes, if you ensure the fact that you're going to be getting a Starlight Rare out of Rise of the Duelist, then your margins are significantly more if you sell singles versus sealed product. If you sell all 5 cases, you would be seeing anywhere between $1,600 to $1,263 in profit, while if you sold only boxes, it would be about $880. If you guys definitely have the time on your hands, I would recommend to just go open up all of your cases and sell singles, just because those Starlight Rares really increase your margin significantly. And then lastly, we're gonna go over 10 cases. Now, margins are the same because your price per case is the same and your likelihood of getting Starlight Rares is still the same. So your profit for selling every single card you pull out of 10 cases would be roughly $3,200. If you sell only the high value cards, roughly $2,500. And if you sold sealed product, it would be about $1,761. So obviously, the more cases that you're able to buy, as long as you're selling every single card that you pull, you can make anywhere between a 28 to 24% return on your investment. Now, you can take the safe route, which is selling sealed product. And again, $84 is what it's selling right now on TCG Player. You would make roughly 18% on your investment. So for somebody that already has a high capacity job or doesn't have a lot of time, maybe just go ahead and sell the sealed boxes just to make a side business. But if you guys want to make it the most profitable, opening cases is definitely the way to go. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed that example of content that you will be able to find exclusively on the RDT Patreon. This type of information would not go out on YouTube on product release. I would be making this content specifically for you guys that want to be part of this Patreon. So I want to go in a little more detail of the top 6 benefits that you guys should expect from the RogueDuelist Trade Patreon. Benefit number 1 is that you're going to be getting exclusive content on product ratios and analysis on product release. And this video is an example of that. One of the next videos that I'll be doing for the Patreon is going to be Megatins 2020. I will get the ratio information before product release. I will be developing a video similar to this one that you just saw in Rise of the Duelist. And if you guys are patrons on the Patreon, you will get access to those videos so you can make smarter moves with the investments that you make in Yugioh. Next is getting your costs down and increasing your profit margins. That's one of the most important things when you're starting your business, is how do I get my costs down so I can make my profit margins higher. I have not been able to find price points cheaper than what we're going to be offering on Patreon across the board. And the fact that we're able to get you guys price points at $655 per case at the level 3 tier and $649 per case for our future tiers, which will be level 5 and 6, which is going to come in probably the coming month or two. So then you guys are going to be able to keep more money in your pocket and make Yugioh even more profitable. My success is if you guys are successful. If you guys are not successful, why would you continue forward with the Patreon? Benefit number 3, we are also going to be providing invaluable information at the distributor level. So for example, if product is short printed, like product was short printed like Rise of the Duelist or Toon Chaos in the past, we will be able to confirm that information with you guys through the Patreon, and it's going to be through the Discord. Benefit number 4, depending on which tier you are on the Patreon, we will have live stream discussions with experts, which is going to be folks from Pro Play Games and myself, and we're going to go over ratios probably the night before product release, and then offer open Q&A on Discord for the applicable patron members that get this benefit. This is huge because you guys will be able to see us have a discussion on the ratios, me and folks from PPG, and then we'll allow you guys to ask questions so that you guys are fully informed and making your own decisions with what to do with your investments. Benefit 5, which is actually going to be available for all tier patrons starting at $3 and up, you're going to get early access to my YouTube videos. Most of my videos come out 6 o'clock Eastern time. I always have it ready to go the night before or even the day before my video actually is released. I will give you guys early access to those videos so that you guys can get ahead on information and be able to make more informed decisions sooner than anybody else. And you will also be part of the Discord community that I mentioned. As I said, every single level in the Patreon will have access to the Discord to some level, and everybody will have access to the general RDT Patreon community where everybody can learn from each other. And lastly, benefit number 6, and this is not available yet and will become available on the level 6 Patreon tier, which is going to be coming. You guys will have access to one-on-one discussions with experts, which is going to be folks from Pro Play Games. And then you will also have the opportunity to be interviewed on the RogueDuelist Trade YouTube channel, where if you guys are interested, you guys can be interviewed on the channel up to 3 times per year and give you guys an opportunity to tell your story and also give yourselves content that you can put on your own social media platforms to market your storefronts. So as you guys can see, here's the Patreon and here are the different tiers. The basic tier is level 1. We have a level 2, level 3, and level 4 tier. So the tier that is going to be able to buy up to 2 cases, we are calling this our pilot patron program, which is our insider program. It's $30 a month, but again, you can buy up to 2 cases at $655 per case. So taking that into consideration, it's only $10 more than the previous tier. So in this previous tier, you're getting this exclusive content such as ratios, but now you're also able to buy product just for $10 more. The Patreon starts to more than pay for itself. And not only that, you're getting access to information that is available nowhere else, because most vendors keep this information very close because they want to stay competitive. But you guys are going to be able to get access to this information on product release. Now we do have this hybrid tier where you are not able to buy product, but you do have more access than all of the previous tiers, where you will have access to the Q&A discussions that I mentioned before. So this is for folks that may already have a distributor relationship and gets product for good prices, but they want to get exclusive content so they can do more with their investments. Now, as I mentioned, there's going to be a level 5 and 6 tier, which is going to come, and it's basically going to be the hybrid tier on steroids, where you can also buy up to 5 cases or 10 cases of product, and we're currently looking at $649 per case to be the price point. So guys, that's it. If you're interested in this Patreon, I have a link down in the description below. There is only going to be 5 spots available available for patrons that are able to buy product through the Patreon. Again, this is a pilot program. This will grow. We will take on more individuals, but we're starting with 5. And the reason why is we are going to be able to offer the megatins for pre-sale, and every single patron that can buy product in the level 3 tier will be able to buy up to 2 cases at $175 per case. And guys, just to be clear, we are going to be offering pre-orders for the megatins. We're not going to be able to offer pre-orders for most things before Phantom Rage, which includes Rage of Ra. So we're not going to be able to offer pre-orders for Rage of Ra, but we will have pre-orders for Phantom Rage. We will likely have pre-orders for some of the upcoming structure decks that are going to be coming, and we are definitely going to be having pre-orders for Genesis Impact, which is coming towards the end of the year. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are excited for this Patreon as much as I am. And guys, this is going to be great. We're going to be starting a revolution in the Yu-Gi-Oh investment community. Now you guys have a way to get the best information possible and the product at the best prices possible for being part of the RDT Patreon family. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you on Patreon in my next YouTube video.